We hear sayings all the time about buying cars. And probably the one we hear the most about homes is that renting is throwing money away, right? So you say, oh, build home equity. I'm like, dude, I pay property taxes and maintenance. Home equity is a myth. What are the myths that we hear that are perpetuated within the car industry, especially maybe by dealers or by well-meaning friends that we want to either confirm as true or debunk? I guess it wouldn't be myths if we confirm them as true, but common saying.
Car myth number one, though, is that Switchcars isn't the best place to buy your exotic car. Or maybe at some point this spring, a 1998 Corvette base car.
Yes. No, we're at least the best place in Twinsburg.
Yeah. There's somewhere down the road that seems pretty nice, but I think they might technically be in Macedonia.
Oh, Harwood Motors. Yeah, they're 300 feet down the road, but they're in Macedonia. So we're the best in Twinsburg.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start off with a good one. Used cars are all lemons, so you should buy a new car. Not true.
Also, to be a lemon, doesn't it have to be like a new car by definition?
Yes, by definition, a lemon is a brand new car, but that term gets appropriated to used cars. Well, here's one for you. As soon as you drive the car off the lot, what is it?
Worthless.
No.
Like 40% lower, but no.
No, used.
Oh.
It's used. So if used cars are all lemons, I'll buy a new car, it'll be fine. Well, okay, now it's used. So.
Take it off the lot, turn around, come back in.
Yes. In that same vein, here's one I've heard a lot. If you buy a used car, you're just buying someone else's problem.
Oh, I have heard that so much. I don't get, not everybody's trying to sell a car because it's a problem.
And
some people are. Some shysters, maybe.
Yeah.
If
my
they're not
question
honest
is,
about it.
what about used houses?
Honestly, I have heard those are so much more of a problem.
Exactly. We have no problem buying used houses.
Yeah.
And yet, holy crap, the foundation could be cracked. It needs a new roof. It needs new windows, new furnace, new HVAC. Like, that's 5 cars right there.
Oh.
Like, okay, fine. You might be buying somebody else's problem in a used car. Like, so fix it.
It's a smaller
or buy
problem.
a warranty with a used car, right? Like, they're way better than home warranties. Yeah, I think that comes from a misunderstanding of used cars, really. I mean, some people think of it in a more of a, like, that person didn't maintain it or take care of it the way I think they should. I don't know how they took care of it. And if I buy a new car, I know exactly how it's cared for because I'm caring for it. I can get that. But I think a lot of people think of it like, well, people would only be unloading this if they're trying to get rid of a problem. If it wasn't a bad car, then they would just keep it.
Which isn't necessarily true. Like, I love my Corvette, but I'm going to sell it.
Yeah.
Because there's other things I'm interested in doing with the money that is currently tied up, some of the money that's tied up in that car.
Okay, but that's a fun car. Let's talk about, like, daily drivers.
You could want a new one that could maybe something about that car just didn't jive with you.
Yeah.
And you're ready to try something else.
I will fully admit that when we sold my wife's wagon, it was because we couldn't solve a problem and we were tired of it.
You're one of those.
No, I got tired of it. But that is one of the only cars I've ever sold that was for that reason. Almost every other one I have a different life situation or I have different needs. So, or I have a greater level of wealth or a lesser level of wealth. I went broke or whatever. So there's a great response comes from one of my favorite podcasts that says
SwitchCast?
No. That buying a new car is also buying somebody else's problem. You're buying the dealer's problem or manufacturer's problem because if you don't buy it, it's going to depreciate. So you're taking the depreciation problem off their hands.
Do you think a lot of these myths that get perpetuated about it being a problem or, oh my God, why wouldn't you just keep it, are because cars are such a large expense and such a infrequent thing for the vast majority of people that it seems like, well, I can't imagine why you'd go through this whole process again. I can't imagine why you'd put out all that money or whatever. Like, it's not for you, since you run a car dealer. You're doing it all the time. You're moving cars, transacting. It's a part of business. It's a part of life. But for me, I don't do that all the time. Stressful.
I get it. Yeah, no, that's a very valid perspective and kind of understanding of people that don't have my experience or even my ADD, where it's normal even on a personal car to be like, well, I kept it 2 years. That's a long time.
Like, next thing.
And people who have a concern about multiple owner cars, a lot of them come from a mentality of, well, my last car I kept for 20 years. Why would anyone sell a car that they love? So if it has 5 owners, that must be a problem. So I do understand that kind of mentality, but it is missing the simple fact that everybody thinks differently about car ownership, and people's life scenarios change all the time. All the time.
For sure. Tastes
you have
change.
kids. Your kids grow up and go to college. You get a dog. You this, you that. You move north and you need 4-wheel drive all of a sudden. Here's a great one. There's no savings in late model used cars, so you should just buy new, because like a 2-year-old car is essentially the same price. So just buy a new car.
Are they though? Whenever I've looked, they're very much not.
It depends.
Okay.
That's a very much it depends, right? So there's a strategy at play. There's data, right? So let's think about like Toyotas. Toyotas don't depreciate nearly what the average car depreciates, right? So stats. The average new car loses half its value in the first 3 years. But average happens because some are more than average and some are less than average. American cars skew that number on the bad side, right? They probably lose 60 to 70% of their value in the first 3 years for like a Chevy Malibu or something like that. Toyotas, Hondas, they're on the other side of things. They might lose 20, 25% of their value in that same time frame. So within certain brands, that might be close to true. I actually bought a brand new Volkswagen Touareg in 2014 because I was seeing that same phenomenon. It was like 2-year-old car, 1-year-old car with 20,000 miles for $5,000 less than new. And I was like, I'm just going to get new. Part of what played into that, though, is that body style had only been out for a couple years. So it was still kind of new and popular. And I was looking for a TDI diesel, and those were kind of rare. So they really weren't depreciating. However, even though they quote unquote didn't depreciate, boy, did it depreciate, because when I sold it 4 years later, I think I paid $50,000 for it new. I sold it for 20. So I lost over 60% of the value in 4 years. So it's still, depreciation still happened. But there's a strategy I think at play as well, is new car dealers will buy used ones, CPO them, stock them, and then price them really, really close to new cars so that people will then buy new cars.
Yeah. Well, and I think CPO has also taken on this like magical aura of like, oh, it's just like new. You have a warranty. Everything's great. Like, people seem to forget that it's still a used car, and these inspections could be good. They could be bad. Somebody could miss something. Like, you don't really know. I think having a CPO warranty could be great, but I don't think it's like a magic bullet.
Well, that brings us to the next possible myth to debunk. CPO, which stands for Certified Pre-Owned, means that a car is good, right? They sell it, you get peace of mind. I used to work at a Land Rover store. We sold CPO Land Rover Discoveries. In that scenario, I would never not buy one that wasn't CPO, because it essentially just extended the factory warranty. And I'm like, every Discovery got traded in at the 4-year mark with 48,000 miles. Because guess when the warranty expired? $50K. Like literally, you go online, you search for Land Rover Discoveries. It's like 48,000 miles, 49,000 miles, 47,000. It was like clockwork. Anyway, yes and no, right? So it depends on the manufacturer. It depends on what their requirements are for CPO. We recently bought a certified pre-owned Mazda CX-9. CPO in that case didn't mean a whole lot, right? Wiper blades had to be replaced or up to spec. I think tires had to be within spec. But other than that, it really wasn't like the oil, the maintenance couldn't be deferred. But they didn't even do an oil change as part of the CPO because like a month after we bought it, we got the reminder that an oil change was due. So we took it in for an oil change. Now it's complimentary, but I'm like, wait a minute. I'm thinking like luxury car CPO is like everything is done. Like everything has to be up to spec. And if it wasn't done, it has to be done fresh. Tires have to be within a certain age and tread depth, like, you know, brake pads, all the fluids, brake fluid, gearbox fluid, et cetera, all that stuff. Spark plugs can't be more than a certain age old. But essentially, when I got into it, I was like, okay, CPO on a Mazda basically means like it passed a basic safety inspection, kind of. And there's no gross deferred maintenance. I'm happy with the warranty. And the
I'm sure that's
good.
why you got it, is like for that additional warranty.
It was like $500. It wasn't like $4,000 extra where I could just self-insure on a pretty reliable late model car anyway. But on Porsches or any high-end cars, I think people get a false sense of security that CPO somehow means like this car has lived a good life.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that. In fact, with regards to paintwork, Porsche's CPO guidelines say that it cannot have, now I'm going backwards on this. It cannot have more than a certain number of panels painted, but that does not include the hood. So if you take it to its logical extreme, the entire car could have been repainted as long as one fender and one door are original paint. That qualifies as CPO.
Wow. And it's like, then you start to think, what had to happen to require such a repaint or, whatever else, if it wasn't just a color change.
So 80% of the car could be repainted, and it could have been a track whore its entire life. And I say that because I've seen these cars getting CPO. They were modded all to crap, and the dealer just basically put everything back to stock and brought it up to spec at that moment. Didn't mean that it had lived a good life. It just means as of this date, it passes these check marks.
And I think if you understand a CPO as that, you're good. Because then there's the benefits of the additional warranty that is usually backed by the manufacturer, and you can take it to a dealer network and everything else. That's huge.
Can be huge, depending on the car. Yep, for sure. Land Rover. Here's one. You'll never be without a car payment. I'd say that's true if you continue to buy new cars over and over again every 5 years.
Like 5,000 miles.
You never get out of the cycle, then you'll never be without a car payment.
Oh, never be without. I was thinking, maybe I should lay off the sauce a little bit.
No, like you'll never not have a car payment. You can never escape that cycle. So
it's very easy.
Just embrace it.
Nah, it's very easy. For dailies. Not very easy. Let's not, but you can. I think to our other discussion point, when you get trapped in the system, it's hard to get out. You're like, oh, well, I need something. This car's pretty old to put a bunch of miles on. I might as well just get a new one. I'm used to this $500 a month payment. Why would I, need to be without it or whatever? So you get it. It's mind games.
Here's a hot take in response to that statement.
Uh-oh.
You'll never retire if you believe this. If you give all your money to the dealers and the manufacturers over the course of your life for depreciating daily drivers, then that money would have been way better invested, and you could drive cheap cars and retire well. Let's see. Buying a Toyota or Honda means you won't have maintenance expenses.
We know two people, Dan and Bailey, who will tell you that is wrong.
Oh, my mother-in-law had a late model Camry hybrid, and the hybrid, one time the hybrid engine went kaput and somehow took the regular engine with it.
Nice.
And that was after the engine had already been replaced. So she went through two engines in a Camry hybrid.
Whoa.
And another friend of mine had a 2007 Toyota Camry, which suffered from oil consumption.
Oh.
So, like, Again, bad engine. Another friend of mine, Honda Odyssey. They had the 2013, which suffered from the blow-by from the piston ring. So there was getting oil in the upper end of the engine. It was fouling out the plugs. It basically had to rebuild the entire top end of the engine. It was a super common issue. I think the new Toyota Tundras are all getting recalled.
Yeah, some
engines.
new Toyota, I think, has an engine problem.
Yeah.
It is a car. It will break. You will have to fix things.
Sure. But I think my response to that, it would not be just kind of a fatalistic thing. It would be more of some are good, some aren't. Buying a Toyota doesn't mean you can throw out your due diligence and not do any research to find out if this is a good one or a bad one. There's plenty of them that will go forever.
For sure.
Lexus LS 400.
I should get one of those.
500,000 miles. No problem. This is one of our favorite ones. Sports cars only have back seats for insurance purposes.
You tell me that doesn't work? You tell me when I tell my insurance agent that, it's got back seats, don't worry, then he doesn't care? That's what?
I've heard it that, like, they wouldn't be able to import them unless they put back seats in.
What about the Corvette? It's never had back seats.
There's special laws for European cars, different safety ratings. Or the manufacturers did that. So I don't know. I've heard this so many times, and I'm like, people have children and they want to share their fun cars with their kids,
or they just have stuff. It is much better to road trip my 911 than it is my Corvette. Because all my snacks and crap I can't keep behind me. It's important things.
I thought you were talking about luggage space. No, it's the snacks.
No, the luggage space
arm's reach
in the Corvette is amazing. It just gets hot because
that is true. The transaxle, yeah.
No ice cream back there.
Wait, is a Corvette a transaxle car, or does the rear diff get that hot?
No, it's transaxle.
Okay,
it's all the performance stuff
for a second there. That's why it's perfect weight distribution. Oh my goodness. The age-old red cars cost more to insure and get more tickets.
Oh my gosh, the amount of people too, when I told them I was considering being open to a yellow car, we're like, it's going to be so bright, you're going to get pulled over so often. Like, what?
No, people get pulled over for tinted windows and expired plates. It's not because your car's red. That myth has been debunked over and over again. Insurance companies do not rate cars based on their color. They rate them based on their safety rating and the odds of parts getting stolen off of them and parts replacement costs and average medical costs in an accident and things like that. Not based on the color. I'm not sure if they even asked me the color of my cars.
I don't think I was ever asked.
No.
Just give me the VIN. That's all they really care about.
I've gotten a lot of tickets in silver and black and white cars. So, yep. All right, time now for the props and flops.
As always, the props and flops are brought to you by Switchcars. And as you know, Switchcars is the enthusiast dealership where we buy, sell, and consign only cars that we like ourselves. Check out our handpicked inventory at switchcars.com and mention SwitchCast for special pricing. For more information, you can head over to switchcars.com or you can come visit our showroom in beautiful Twinsburg, Ohio. Doug, let us know, what is the pick of the week?
2013 Corvette Grand Sport, black over black, automatic.
We're not off to a good start.
Which I don't love, but the C6 wide bodies are so good looking.
Yes.
And it has an LS3, one of the best, in my opinion, variants of the LS engines, but it's not the best LS3 variant because all the manual GS Coupe got the LS3 with forged crankshaft and dry sump.
But the autos didn't?
But the autos didn't and the convertibles didn't, which bums me out because if I was ever to get rid of my beloved C5, I would get either a 427 or a Grand Sport manual convertible. So, but I wouldn't have a forged crankshaft. All right, our flop of the week, speaking about Corvettes, apparently nobody listened to our podcast, or if they did, they don't give a crap about our opinion on, or my opinion on why low mileage cars are ridiculous, because just last week, a base Corvette C6 with 65 miles sold at Barrett Jackson for $330,000.
What?
Yes.
Are you?
It has the LS3 though.
Why?
I don't know. It
That
wasn't a charity auction. It was. I don't get it. $300,000 freaking dollars. The crazy thing is, though, the same collector's C6Z06 sold for less than half that with delivery miles, and his delivery mile C4 ZR1s sold for $115 and $82,000. So I don't know what was pumped into the room when that auction was going off, but
I can't imagine spending $80,000 on a C4 unless it was like some
ZR1.
really special stuff.
Spend 82 on a ZR1 versus 300 for a base C6. They made like 100,000 of them. Maybe that's it. Maybe they made 330,000 of them. So he's like, I'll just pay $1 for every one that existed.
I want to put it on my boomer board.
Oh,
yikes.
Gosh.
All right, get us out of this.
And the crazy thing is, though, Corvette people think this is okay, but they'll complain about the new ZR1 selling for $50,000 over sticker because that's, greed and, whatever. Yeah. All right. On the same track here, prop of the week, Rick Hendrick at Barrett Jackson paid $3.7 million for the first Corvette C8 ZR1, VIN number 001.
What?
Is this ridiculous?
Yes.
No, It was for charity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. So all auction fees were waived and 100% of the proceeds go to the American Red Cross. Now, it's not true altruism here, as, of course, Hendrick's name gets out there in the news. We're talking about it. And undoubtedly, it's not just a boost to his personal ego, but also incredible marketing for his dealer network and probably an incredible tax write-off for somebody in the mix here. But we will congratulate this type of marketing versus the alternative, like a dealer being in the news for getting fined by the FTC. So
this is much more fun.
Exactly. $3.7 million chump change, and everybody feels good and looks good.
I would like to add a prop if I can at the last moment. I love that the Mustang GT3, which is a new race car that Ford with Multimatic has put out after the Ford GT program a few years ago, has won its first race. They won in class at the 24 Hours of Daytona recently. So I think it's fantastic to see a Mustang with Ferraris and Corvettes and Porsches and Mercedes, kicking some bum on the racetrack. It's good.
Heck yes. Thank you for joining us for SwitchCast with Doug Tabbutt and Tyler Sanders, produced by Ethan Huffnagel. SwitchCast is an automotive entertainment and opinion show, and nothing we say should be taken very seriously. We do not give tax, investment, legal, emotional, or professional advice, and the only licenses we hold are driver's licenses. The opinions expressed on this show are exclusively held by the people pontificating at that moment and do not reflect the values of our producers or sponsors. Our theme music is provided by Emily and Ivory. You can stream their full album on Spotify or SoundCloud. If you like this show, you can stream it in its entirety on your favorite audio podcast platform. Check out switchcast.live for more info.